A government shutdown looms if lawmakers can't reach a budget compromise by September 30th.
Some are actually willing to plunge America into default if they can't defund the Affordable Care Act.
Basically what he's saying is write me a blank check and don't ask me questions.
With both sides still seeming far from agreement, what would a shutdown mean for the American people? First off, you would still get your mail and Social Security payments, but new claims may not be processed, and payments could be delayed. Core services like Medicare and the veterans benefits will continue, but new filers may have problems with agencies being understaffed. The government also likely would not be able to process new housing or student loan applications. The parts of the government that protect our national security and safety will remain open, but other government offices would be closed. Visits to national parks, museums, and zoos would have to be postponed because they would likely close. Traveling abroad may also pose problems. The State Department would likely have to halt new passport and visa applications. As for taxes, they will still be collected, but depending on how long any possible shutdown lasts, refunds could be delayed. Finally, hundreds of thousands of federal workers could expect to be furloughed without pay. House Republican Peter King says a shutdown can be prevented if the Senate is willing to compromise.
The Senate will be responsible, that they will send us a bill which does keep the government open through December 15th, but also has some reasonable cuts in it, ones that we can both agree on.
Next week, the Senate will take up the House's budget plan and make its own version. Mary Muller, CNN Atlanta.
There were no winners in this.
The 16-day shutdown is over, and furloughed workers are back to work. And national parks and zoos reopened. All seems to be back to normal in Washington, D.C., but is it? The government is now funded through January 15th, but the clock is ticking for a new budget plan. Many Americans are skeptical the government can't agree on a deal in just a few months.
They should be able to sit down like sensible people and settle these damn things.
Both Republicans and Democrats they cannot get along. And honestly, I have no faith in them.
I don't think they would have resolved anything if there wasn't a deadline of the debt, ceiling happening.
Going forward, the Budget Conference Committee will try and blend a Senate and House budget plan by December 13th. If they aren't successful, we could enter another government shutdown.
We should sit down and pursue a balanced approach to a responsible budget.
Easier said than done, as we have seen on Capitol Hill. Tea Party Senator Ted Cruz is back for round 2. In an interview expected to air on ABC's This Week, he didn't rule out shutting down the government a second time.
I will continue to do anything I can to stop the train wreck that is Obamacare.
Aside from Obamacare funding, Republicans may also halt plans that raise taxes, and they will push for lower government spending and changes to entitlement programs. This won't bode well for the Senate budget plan that includes tax increases. So now it's another waiting game to see if the House and Senate can come to a compromise before the last hour. Mary Muller, CNN, Atlanta. It's day 12 of the government shutdown. Talks between Republicans and the president on raising the debt ceiling and reopening the government hit a brick wall.
Well, when the Senate and the Senate and the president says no to what they offered, then it's kind of tough.
President Obama said Saturday he can't support a House Republican plan to temporarily raise the debt limit for 6 weeks.
It wouldn't be wise, as some suggest, to just kick the debt ceiling can down the road for a couple of months and flirt with the first ever intentional default.
This current standstill means the House won't vote on reopening the government until Monday.
How can you leave at a time like this?
Oh, listen, I hope the Senate takes up some of our bills. Wouldn't that be a great thing?
Saturday, the Senate failed to advance a clean debt limit bill that would allow the country to pay its bills.
It's hard for me to comprehend, but every Republican voted against this.
The plan being worked on by GOP senators to reopen the government is now off the table. So Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid is meeting with Senator Mitch McConnell to discuss the issue and extending the debt ceiling. Late Saturday, the focus shifted to a meeting between the president and leading Democratic senators. Still, no firm indication on when the crisis will be resolved. Mary Muller, CNN, Atlanta.